Go.
Alright, so our book is Hillbilly Elegy by J.D. Vance, and it's a memoir about a little kid trying to make the best of what he has while going through a lot of trauma through his life, and
By overcoming it, by overcoming that trauma and utilizing that trauma to overcome obstacles in life and to use that as an opportunity to further himself and his life.
So we kind of agree that one of the themes of this book is overcoming trauma through childhood, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
For instance, when he was a child, he was in grade school, and he was in a math class. And in this math class, they were trying to answer questions. And what happened was he tried to say something insightful and smart, but then he got showed up by one of his classmates. This moment traumatized him. It made him feel like garbage. However, he made that feeling, that traumatic experience, that sadness and embarrassment, he used that to fuel himself to become better. And so he used that to become a better mathematician and a better person.
I feel like he actually kind of used that kind of experience because he overcame that a little bit was because of his mama and papa from that his papa would sit down with him every night at the kitchen tables going over math problems and everything, learning multiplication, division, and working on addition and subtraction, and mama would work on his vocabulary, and his mom even got him a library card so that he could purchase get all the books that he needed to further his education.
And also in that book it says, and this might have saved me. I think it did save him just because that education route really had allowed him to escape his personal life and his life at home, and he can just go into this world of learning stuff and learning new things, and
he was
just utilizing that.
He was breaking the cycle of his family. Many of them weren't very educated, and I think J.D. Vance really took it to another level and was able to kind of come out of that cycle and be one of the first to change the path of its family's direction so that they could have a better life.
Right, so piggyback off of what Brandon said, how he used overall distractions in order to escape his reality, such as reading books, educating himself as an individual whole. And so,
Louder,
I just said nigga.
Not just say that.
Just talk.
Just
I don't know what to say. You said what I was gonna say. You dead ass was like, nah, you can go ahead and say this part in the book. And he's like,
Okay, well, he also did talk, what Brandon was saying, how he said, this might have just saved me. The quote was, in other words, despite all the environmental pressures from my neighborhood and community, I received a different message at home, and that might have just saved me. So, I don't feel like it only saved him. I also felt like it saved his sister, Lindsay, because she did end up marrying someone who didn't abuse her or do anything like that. She has a family now of her own.
In Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah, and she was able to break away from that kind of pressure of
life.
Yeah.
Life.
However, that part when Lindsay left to go live with his husband and her new child, I think that was also traumatic for JD because that was his only support system through all of that hell that he went through, and that once that left, he felt very lonely and very isolated. It just felt like he was against the world by himself. He didn't have anybody to help him through he did back in the years where they had they still have problems now, but he had a support system, which was Lindsay.
Yeah, that one time, JD was in the car with his mom, and his mom was just having this rage fit and almost killed the two, right?
Yeah.
And so JD, he calls the police, and the first person to sort of save him right there, kind of give him support, was his sister Lindsay. She crawled in the back of a police car and just kind of comforted him, and that kind of resulted in him learning that, you know, there is support out there for him, and that he's not just, you know, gonna be alone.
Well, I think that was, you know, like a really big problem because, you know, Pa was supposed to be like the overall basis of his like growing up and stuff, and like the fact that those two weren't there, and that they you know did all these heinous acts or abuse towards one another, really like it changed the way that JD saw things. You know, like his perspective of the world has changed because of them. And for that, I think that like JD, you know, like has helped him become a man.
Yeah, because throughout his life, like you look back at him now, like in his present day, like he implemented all these programs to actually like give back to his community where he grew up in. Like there's a point in time in the book where he's like going back to his hometown of Jackson. He's walking down the street and he sees like all. I'm talking loud, bro. What are you talking about? Are you pissing me off?
Keep talking.
Alright. So, there's a point in the book where he's going back to his hometown of Jacksonville. Like, he's walking down the street with one of Rick's sons, and he turns to Rick, and they see this abandoned house, and it's just, he sees like eight pairs of eyes, and there's a man out front, and he asks him, hey, does he have a job? He's like, nah, and he's proud of it. So, and then he also talks about how drug addiction has swept through his community, taking over completely. And now you look back at this, he's trying to implement programs to give back to the community, like help stop the drug addiction. So all these traumatic events led him to actually want to give back to the community that shaped him. Even though he grew up around negative things that, you know, overall would destroy human beings, maybe even make them go insane. He changed that around and completely changed everything in his life in a positive way.
So, I think it's interesting how he does have foundations that help with drug addictions, especially since his mom was a drug addict, and he even tried to, I guess, with the knowledge that he knew and with not wanting to get his mom in trouble, he gave her his urine sample so that she wouldn't have to, the board of nurses wouldn't like cut her off and everything and fire her. But I feel like in the book he talks about how he really regrets it and he wished he would have never done that, but in the end it did end up helping his mom. And I feel like even though he thought he was helping her at the time, he kind of realizes now that he wasn't really helping her. He was really just kind of allowing her to get
the fire.
Yeah, adding to the fire, allowing her to get away with what she did. But in the end, he ended up going to live with Mama permanently, which he said was like amazing for him. Though she was really tough on him and everything, he really did love going to live with Mama permanently.
But I mean, although he did give the urine sample, I feel like that shows the side of him that like cares, even though he's like he can see that his is it Mama?
Yeah.
No,
it was
his mom. His mom was like a full drug addict and everything. He could see past that and see that it was his mom, and that he couldn't just abandon her like that. You know, like he needed to help her in some way. Although it may not have been the right way, I feel like, you know, he really like cared. He genuinely cared.
Yeah, like despite like his mom having all these problems and just like abusing him, like above that, his like JD didn't have anybody else other than his mom and Mama, and his mom like really shaped to what he is today and all that, and like he
I was gonna say, like, part of that is I think Mama did a really good job of kind of instilling strong values in him, like family values. Like Mama may have not always been the best person, but she gave her best to JD. Like she gave all of like the best of her that she could. Like the strong family values that was kind of like core to Mama's like family, like the Blanton family or whatever. She gave that to JD, and JD like he held on to that, and he treated his family well, even when they wouldn't treat him well, which is kind of impressive how he was.
It kind of reminds me of like the play Fences that we talked about earlier in the year, where it was like Troy gave his best to the best of him to Corey, but I don't know, it's kind of like that's a common theme with within the book is like I feel like that's another theme. It's just giving it your all. And,
Why are you guys laughing?
you're laughing first.
I'm laughing because he's laughing.
Okay.
We're at 10 minutes.
We're at 10 minutes.
Yes,
that's
turn
good.
it off.
That's good.
We're at 11 minutes.